reconnecting and connecting all over again. I am so upset that this computer is taken over by the Russians. That's a complete and utter hoax. Why don't you start your computer before we get... Oh my God, are you serious? Ladies and gentlemen, my computer has been infiltrated by Putin. I have no clue what's going on. Let me know if you can hear me. Paul, thank you so very much. Can you hear me? I had this whole little thing started. Paul, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paul, to my super chat. Thank you. Can you hear the soulful sounds of Pence, and can you hear me okay? Let's just ask that. Can you hear, is the stream all right? And can you hear me? Paul, thank you so very, very much. It's so greatly appreciated. To my super chat, thank you. Jaded, thank you so very much. Exactly. Thank you so very much, Paul, and everybody here. It is so greatly appreciated. And to my super chat, thank you. Paul Bartlett, you are absolutely wonderful. Let me start off again really quickly. We'll see how long this stream lasts because my computer has been infiltrated by the Kremlins. But here, this is my take on what happened. You have the Yahoo News article below. Mr. President, if you throw a newspaper at me again, I swear on the Gipper's Bible, I will defend myself. Oh, I'm shivering in my boots, so frightened. I am so upset and frightened. You are the worst VP ever. I should have picked Paul Rand. Mr. President, you will not bully me again, and by the power of God and by the power of Grayskull, you are not going to push me around anymore, okay? Go back to Indiana. You are a loser. And you're about as intimidating as Chris Hayes on a Diana Ball cycle. So, get out of the Oval Office now. You can't push me around, Mr. President. Okay, I have Ronald Reagan's Bible here. The Gipper's Bible. The Gip Bible. And you're not going to tell me what to do anymore. I have Washington Post and New York Times reporters right outside the Oval Office. And they're going to get my take on how I feel about your character. You can take your opinion about my character and place it where the sun doesn't shine. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I've been trying to work on my Trump. You're the worst VP ever. I can't do a President Trump. I really can't do a President Trump. But I've been working on it. So we'll see. Paul, thank you so very much. Paul, thank you. To my super chat. Indy Wood, hello. Go back to Indiana, Pence. You're the worst VP ever. You're the worst VP ever. Indy Wood, hello. Jaded Vegas, hello. Vegas and Bama, hello. Paul, thank you again. To my super chat, thank you. I want to read you this Yahoo News article. And apparently, they almost had a physical confrontation. You know who would win. Hands down, it would be me. It's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that they're talking about a physical confrontation between Pence and Trump. And let's read this Yahoo News. And it's everything is based on a story. So Trump threw a crumpled newspaper at Pence and accused him of being so disloyal.
So disloyal. Honestly, the worst, the least loyal VP who's ever 100th out of 100th.
Trump threw a crumpled newspaper at Pence. Dun 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 dun. We've gone from Walter Cronkite, Edward R. Murrow. We've gone from Tom Brokaw, Peter Jennings, David Brinkley, Sam Donaldson, Ted Koppel, to now this nonsense about whether Trump and Pence got into a physical altercation. This is what we've come to as a country.
Bring it. You want to bring it? Do you even lift?
Trump threw a crumpled newspaper article at Pence and accused him of being so disloyal, and Pence threw it back and lost it.
Mr. President, I just want to say, if you want to go at it, let's step outside of the Oval Office.
Trump once got upset and threw a newspaper article at Pence, new book says. Anything, you can say anything. You can just accuse Trump of anything. Paul, thank you again. Paul Bartlett, thank you again to my super chat. Thank you so very, very much. You can accuse Trump of anything and just add the words, book says, former U.S. officials say, people associated with the matter say, Trump had relations with Martians, but new book says.
I plan on visiting Pluto very soon, so don't forget me.
New book says, the episode was described in an excerpt of the Wall Street Journal reporter Michael Bender's book. President Trump got so upset at the news that his campaign aide Corey Lewandowski was heading over to work for Vice President Mike Pence's team. In 2018, he crumpled up a newspaper article about it and threw it at Pence.
Nolan Ryan.
According to a new book, a new book by Wall Street Journal's Michael Bender, published on Friday.
So disloyal.
Trump reportedly told Pence as he threw the newspaper article. The excerpt said Trump was concerned that the new hire made him look weak. It's like, this is not the way Trump thinks. They try to make it so everything is the Trump that they've created in their warped and distorted minds. Do you understand? It's not President Trump. They need to create a Trump. They cannot have a president who presided over record low unemployment. They think that he was doing his hair like all throughout wage increases, record low unemployment statistics. The first president to step foot in North Korea, President Moon Jae-in of South Korea, stated Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. They think that he negotiated a deal to get Americans home by accident. Anything that happens, do you understand that he's not working? Like, he's not really working. It's not really Trump that's working. It's an accident. It's a complete accident. Anything good that happens is not the work of President Trump, because it's impossible. It's impossible to have President Trump. Like, it's impossible to give him any... It is absolutely impossible for Democrats to give him any... to give him any credit for anything. He simply can't receive any credit for anything. So every story has to be this sensationalized nightmare where the American government was taken over by this reality star with no morals. You know, what happened to the days when we had Bill Clinton? Oh, where have you gone? Bill Clinton, our nation, turns its lonely eyes to the blue dress. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We long for, in the minds of Democrats, we long for the days when Bill Clinton's morality was propping up the nation, or was giving an example to people on how to behave. George W. Bush, his very ethical and moral and just foreign policy. These people have convinced themselves, President Obama and his NATO intervention that absolutely obliterated a country, which is worse than anything that Trump ever did, ever. But it's always this nightmarish, it's always a nightmare that they have to conjure up. They have to create a nightmare. They have to create this nightmare. If they don't create the nightmare, then if they don't create this world where Trump is always picking fights, and if they don't create this world where Trump is just always picking a fight, always creating havoc and chaos. See, if they simply reported on Donald J. Trump based on what he accomplished, and that's it, history would be different. I mean, he'd be viewed as one of the great presidents objectively. If you just removed the reaction to his personality, if you just removed all the, if you erased every article that talked about his personality or what other people said about him, could you imagine if journalists were not allowed to publish anything regarding what was said about Trump in a book or behind closed doors by people associated with the matter? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine the reporting on President Trump? Could you imagine the reporting on President Trump if the only thing you could report on was his accomplishments? So the only thing you could report on for years, not Trump Russia. Imagine if that fabricated hoax called Trump Russia wasn't a story. What would they talk about? They would have to talk about record low unemployment for most of his tenure. They'd have to talk about tariffs. They'd have to talk about policies that kept the country in a much better place. And they could talk about certain policies they disagree with. Not every policy from President Trump worked out. Okay? Not every policy worked out. There were certain mistakes Trump made, or certain things that I disagree with. But overall, if you just focused on President Trump's accomplishments or his decision-making while president, most people wouldn't dislike Trump. Like they think that because they're going to investigate Trump, we're investigating everybody around Trump. And that's right, mean tweets. If you took away his Twitter account, I mean, that's what really should have happened. His Twitter account, his personality, and what people say about him were the only things truly reported. And then fabricated hoaxes. Ebrey! Come on, man, Prince Valium. Ebrey! Hello, I hope all is well, Ebrey. Thank you. Ebrey, thank you. Exactly. And imagine the world, Ebrey, and everybody here. Paul Bartlett, thank you again. Ebrey. Jack, hello. Imagine the world if our beloved President Biden, imagine the world if our beloved President Biden was, if reporters and journalists treated him in the same manner they treat President Trump. How many people associated with Biden have come out and said he is quoted to have stated this horrible thing? How many people? Where are the former U.S. officials? Where are the books coming out that attribute quotes to him that he never stated? Where's all of this information? Because we know with Trump, if they don't have a story, they fabricate it. This is an example. Pence and Trump in a physical confrontation. Exactly. It was just the meltdown. They focused on Trump's personality, and in a way, President Trump fell for a trap. He fell for a trap. He was able to become president by utilizing, in part, by riding this wave, by surfing a wave of negative publicity based on what they think of his personality. So, Ibre, thank you so very much. I agree. If they treated Prince Valiant the same way they treat the Orange Menace, it'd be a different story. But there are people who devote their lives. They truly believe that Biden is a better human being when Biden has done. If you look at what Biden and Trump have done in their lives, their decision making, and how their decision making has affected the planet, ask the people of Libya, ask other people of other countries what Biden's decision making has brought. You can look at the crime bill. He wrote the 100-to-1 sentencing disparities. Okay, he wrote the actual sentencing disparity within the crime bill for a narcotic that his son has been accused of taking. And so it's like they have to convince themselves. If they don't convince themselves, if they don't completely immerse themselves, if Democrats and media and people who don't like Trump, if they don't completely immerse themselves in this fabricated fantasy of who Trump is, like, I cannot stand, do you understand? I cannot stand people who, upon their lofty perch, make these sweeping claims about Trump and his personality. He's deranged. He is boorish. He is so divisive and polarizing, and he's a menace. And anyone who supports him he's a horrible human being. Based on what vantage point are you judging him? From the vantage point that media was objective, and he just happens to be a horrible human being, and media tried every possible way to prop him up, which is what's taking place now with Biden. Biden's losing support among Americans. And he has every single media outlet because they're all run by liberal Democrats. And still he's losing support. How do you continually lose support in the polls when every single publication is working to make you look good? Do you understand? You are a 5-12 football coach. Okay, or whatever, 6-11 football coach. Or, a 5-11 football coach, okay? And every publication is saying, wow, you did such a great job with a horrible team. You're amazing. You're a great coach. If there was another coach, you wouldn't even win a game. That's what's happening now with Biden. Good spirits, hello. Good spirits, hello. With Trump, people don't like the smartest people in the room, the most educated people, the intelligentsia. They look at Trump, even the conservatives, the conservative intelligentsia and the liberal intelligentsia, they look at Trump and they say he's a deranged, boorish man. He's completely boorish. And he is just a horrible human being. And they don't acknowledge that he's had 92% negative media coverage. He's uncouth. He's ungentlemanly. He's crude. He's the Grinch. He's a mean one, Mr. Trump. He's uncivilized. He's unpolished. He's unrefined. He's boorish. He's uncouth. He's horrible. He's deranged. He's a horrible human being. Trump is a horrible human being. Who do you think's a good human being? Bill Clinton. Oh, I concur. I think I'm a great human being. If only people could give me a chance. You'll see what's inside me. If you know what I mean. You know, they look at Trump from the vantage point of J-Spot 51. J-Spot 51. Look up Biden whispering creepy. Oh yeah. This is Biden. Pay more taxes. It's like the scene from History of the World. King Louis. J-Spot 51, that's right. He's like, pay more taxes. And they like, nobody is tricked by this. Who looks at this and says, it's a good, he just has his personality, Everyone's like, what? The way the establishment is like, well, that's it. He won. Can't say anything about it. He won. He won. Yeah, but look at this man. You think Prince Valium is this popular? Right? That's it. Obviously he is. Pay more taxes. Wait, let me see. Hold on. What is he? Let me see the okay, hold on. I can't really play it, but if I play something, it's like a big problem. Biden whispering repeatedly during. And the thing is, like the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, this is 2 years ago. Joe Biden's whispering makes terrible asthma. It's like, okay, so every single bizarre characteristic of Biden, they try to spin into something lovable or funny. With Trump, it's the end of democracy and humanity. That's so funny. I think it was the taxes thing. Pay more taxes. But see, that's where we're at as a society. That's where we're at. You have Tales from the Crypt leading us. Nobody believes this is normal. Like, at least with Trump, he defeated Clinton, and then the resistance, and then he worked with Russia, and then it was a meltdown of all meltdowns. But you knew that whether he was tweeting or whether he was signing legislation or whether he was giving speeches, you knew that he was trying to run the show. Trump tried his best to wrestle control of the United States government from the establishment. I mean, he actually might not have tried his best, but ZZZ, hello. But it's like you knew that at least Trump You knew that Trump was there. With this now, it's like it's a different type of nightmare. This is not even a nightmare. This is like purgatory. It's like political purgatory. J-Spot 51. Hello, thank you again. But here, so disloyal. Trump reportedly told Pence as he threw the newspaper article. The excerpt said Trump was concerned that the new hire made him look weak. Trump administration officials described the episode to Bender as one of the rare examples of Pence confronting Trump. Mr. President, I have Ronald Reagan's Bible, the Gipper's Bible, the Gip Bible, and I want to swear on this Bible, if you throw any object at me again, I will retaliate.
Bring it. You want static? Bring it. Want some static?
I just want to let you know, Mr. President, if you throw any other object at me and it hits me in my forehead again, by the power of God, by the power of Grayskull, I will retaliate, and the Washington Post will know about it very soon.
Bring it, loser. Worst VP ever.
Just don't throw anything at me again. Okay, do we have that clear?
Do you see this paperclip? And do you see this Rolodex? Do you know what I've been clocked in Yankee Stadium? I throw at least 87 miles per hour. Let's see if I could duplicate that with the Rolodex right at your forehead.
If you throw that Rolodex at me, Mr. President, it's going to be a big problem. I promise you, I will not let that slide.
Bring it.
So that's pretty much what that's pretty much what takes place in the minds of media and Democrats. They truly think ladies and gentlemen, that they believe that President Trump, Yvette, hello, they believe that President Trump had the most dysfunctional White House, and they cannot possibly believe that he functioned more or less like any other presidency in terms of what he tried to accomplish, how he had meetings, how he met with the Joint Chiefs or his cabinet or his Secretary of State. Like, they cannot accept any normality associated with here. No, Donald Trump reported praise of somebody he never praised. Is a good reminder of what he values in a leader. This is fabricated nonsense. There's no evidence of any of this. Then when they take something that's fabricated, they then make grandiose claims. Well, he praised this despicable human being, the 1930s and 1940s Germans leader, which he never praised. And you can look by his actions. I can tell you as a Jewish American, he is possibly the best president that people of my ethnic and religious or cultural background has ever had, ever. Now, to liberal people of my background, they would say, that's not true, that's not true. That's more, they either want to fit in with some kind of left-leaning moral standard or moral fantasy, or left-leaning fantasy based on this warped morality that says Biden is a better human being than Trump, even though you can look at what he did to Libya and in numerous other states and the crime bill. Trump never did any of that stuff. All he did was all Trump ever did was be accused of things he never said. The worst things Trump ever did have no backing or evidence to warrant the claims. That's the worst that Trump has ever done, is be completely taken out of context or have quotes attributed to him without any backing or evidence or like citation or any proof that he said any of these things. It's unbelievable. They have to create and fabricate this fantasy around Trump because they despise his personality. His accomplishments they cannot look at because he objectively accomplished more than President Obama or Bush in 16 years. We had record low unemployment. He single-handedly reversed U.S. foreign policy. He got a greater percentage of the non-white vote, the LGBTQ vote, than any and religious voters of different backgrounds than he did in 2016. All 4 years of media spin and lies. Because they say Trump lied. Nobody lied more than media. You look at all the lies and misleading articles and statements on social media from the Washington Post, from the New York Times, from MSNBC, CNN. The walls were closing in. The walls were closing in on Trump. Oh, Mueller was about to get him. Nothing could be further from the truth. The whole thing was fabricated. There was never a reason to investigate Trump based on a high to moderate confidence assessment from professional liars. People who lied under oath. They never had any evidence that Trump said this or that, or Jaded Vegas. Aloha, HA. Isn't it funny how the left believes the stuff about the Orange Menace exactly in some book with no proof, yet they claim disinfo on actual proof of dirty deeds? Exactly. That's a great point. Jaded Vegas. That's a great point. Stash, hello. Stash Prada, hello. That's a great point. Jaded Vegas. That is a fantastic point. If you say something about Hunter, oh my God. Oh, the fix is in. Oh my God. Photos, videos, incriminating emails. I mean, overt pay-to-play schemes. These are not wealthy people like rich people. They didn't acquire wealth through their ideas or their businesses. They don't know how to run a business. The business they run is extracting as much money as possible from the allure of the United States government. That's it. Okay? Trump doesn't need money. When they keep on saying, oh, he's on the ropes, his legal problems are growing. It's like he's a billionaire. He doesn't care. The whole thing with a legal battle is money. That's it, really. I mean, you want truth on your side, obviously, but you want to see it through. So, I mean, if God forbid I had to see something through from a legal perspective, I could. Thank God. But the whole thing is, in journalism, people, there's libelous statements all the time. So if somebody ever, made a slanderous or libelous statement against me, I think libel is, or slander. Libel is the written, slander is I can explain the difference between the two. But the whole thing with a legal battle is the money associated with the legal battle. Okay? He doesn't care. He doesn't. First of all, they're not indicting him. Secondly, I don't think they have anything on Alan Weisselberg. There needs to be some way to show, this should go to the Supreme Court because they're going at. It's a politically motivated. This is politically motivated. They want to ruin the lives of people around Trump because they can't get to Trump directly because he didn't commit crimes that he is accused of committing. So Jaded Vegas is 100% right. I agree, Stash, I agree. Jaded Vegas is 100% right. You have emails saying, how can you use your influence on behalf of the company? You have emails that say that. How can you use your influence on behalf of the company? And instead of looking, see, this is the thing. It's one-sided. They don't cover any news report or speculate or investigate on any story that hurts the Democratic Party. If it hurts Republicans, or especially Trump, not only will they investigate, but if they don't have anything, they'll then quote people anonymously who are said to know information. Former U.S. officials. People familiar with the matter. And you have to understand something. There are lawyers and doctors who care about climate change. Even though John Kerry stated the U.S. could be carbon neutral, and the U.S. I think he said the U.S. and the next greatest economy, and still it wouldn't make a dent in terms of what did he say? Hold on one second. Kerry. So John Kerry says U.S. and then the largest country in the world can go to zero emissions and still not solve climate crisis. Think about that. It's very... This is an admission. So why the preaching? Why do you want to... You're not going to get the entire planet on board, number one, with anything. Everybody has their own interests. Everybody has different economies. Everybody has their own interests. John Kerry says U.S. and the most populous country in the world could go to zero emissions and still not solve a climate crisis. So why preach? It's going to be a while till we get to zero emissions, number one. The largest country in the world will never get to zero emissions, ever, okay? So they're preaching, well, we care about climate change. It's become like this religious dogma without any definition of an objective being met. You want to save the planet. That's your goal. And so, because you want to save the planet, you'll believe that Trump worked with Russia. You will suspend logic and believe that Trump praised the 1930s and 1940s German leader because you don't like his personality, and also you want to save the planet. So naturally, if you think that Democrats will save the planet because they take climate change seriously, which it's a serious issue, but if there's no actual definition, or there's no accurate date where we have to do X before Z happens, or before Y and Z happen. Everything is speculation. It's all based on this absurd this morality that has taken the place of actual religion. So the God of a great many atheists is any politician, any Democratic politician who says climate change is real, which it is, but the question is what to do about it. climate change is real and we have to take it seriously. That means, the translation of that means anything we say, you have to abide by. You can never question anything, or else you're denying science and you want to hurt the planet and you want the planet to expire. And we don't know when the planet's going to end. Even John Kerry says that if we go to zero emissions, and if the largest country in the world goes to zero emissions, it still wouldn't make a dent. But you still have to listen to us, and because you feel like you're on the side of justice, you will allow anything to take place against your political rivals. You will suspend all logic. And if it means tormenting Trump, so be it. Jaded Vegas, thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. Jaded Vegas, thank you. Jaded Vegas, thank you. Paul Bartlett, thank you again. Jaded Vegas, thank you. So, John Kerry says, even if you do this, even if you go to zero emissions and net zero, and the largest country in the world does the same thing, it's still not going to make a dent. So it's like, I'll read this. Let's see, hold on. John Kerry, President Joe Biden's special envoy for climate, said Wednesday that one of the only ways to curb the climate crisis is an all hands on deck global response. Name me a time when every country in the world agreed with something. The United States could go to zero tomorrow. I mean, we can't, but if you figuratively speaking go to zero, we'd have a problem. The world would still have a problem. Kerry told Washington Post columnist Jonathan Capehart. So then why should we listen to you blindly on everything pertaining to climate change? Why should people then make economic sacrifices when even if we achieve the point that you want, it still won't make a dent? Like, you don't have the moral, you're not morally superior because you care about the planet if you have no idea of how to save the planet. If your entire existence politically is torment Trump as much as you want because we're on the side of justice and good, and you have no definition of how to achieve this justice or goodness or this desired outcome, you simply want political power. You simply enjoy political power. You don't care about the planet. Because that's like the last thing on your mind. You simply want political power. Because you can't even define how to save the planet. You don't know when the planet's going to end. And even John Kerry himself stated, yeah, we and the largest country in the world can go to zero emissions tomorrow and it still wouldn't make a dent. We could go to zero emissions tomorrow and it still wouldn't make. Do you understand that? That's saying something right there. Zero emissions refers to an engine, motor, process, or other energy source that emits no waste products that pollute the environment or disrupt the climate. And now everything, it's hot. Oh, it's climate change. It's climate change. Like, they do this also with, like, a mass tragedy. If there's a mass tragedy, like, you see, Second Amendment, we need more laws. It's like, well, it is against the law to do what this man did. And there are people who don't register their Second Amendments and commit atrocities, or obtain Second Amendments through illegal means and then commit atrocities every weekend in certain cities, Democratic-run cities of the country. Nobody says anything. Nobody says any. Reality is very difficult for liberal Democrats to cope with, because if you look at what's actually taking place, the empirical data, like real life, disputes the lofty idealism of this pseudo morality within the Democratic Party. They don't have, this is the thing, this is why they have to drum up this fantasy around Trump. They do not have any metric or like definition of their goals being achieved. Like Trump wanted record low unemployment. He said, I'm going to focus on the economy. I'm going to focus on the economy, and he did that. I'm going to focus on the economy, and he did that. They're saying, well, we want a more just society. They have no clue. All the greatest injustices take place in Democratic-run states or cities. Highest unemployment rates. Look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You can look at the New York Times statistics, and the greatest number of lives lost and the highest per capita rates are in Democratic-run states, and they pontificate the most. And if somebody lost their life last year or this year, and they didn't do exactly what Democrats stated, the gleeful response, the despicable gleefulness, the gleeful response, oh, you see, this person wasn't doing this or that, and he lost his or her life. You see? Oh, you better listen to us. Meanwhile, almost everyone who lost their life, the majority of people who did lose their lives, listened to everything that Democrats stated you must do. But they don't see things from the vantage point of basic logic. It's all narcissism. You better listen to us, and if we actually change our mind, well, the science changed. Well, it's not our fault, it's Trump's fault. Well, we tried our best. You have to take things into context. We tried our best. When they get caught, they tried their best. When Trump is blamed for everything, he didn't try his best. He called it a hoax. He never did. But even if he did, which he never did, he was talking about the media reaction. They don't listen to Trump anyway. They don't listen to anything Trump says anyway. They don't listen to anything President Trump says anyway. So the point is, like, the issue is they cannot run on their accomplishments or their ideology or their value system or their alleged pseudo-morality. Nobody's buying any of it. Nobody's buying any of it. So they simply need to create and fabricate stories about Trump. It makes them feel good about themselves. It makes them feel morally superior. And that's really the only thing that they want to do. The thing that drives them. Okay? Really, the only thing, the thing that drives Democrats in general, and some Republicans, or the Republicans that don't like Trump, is they truly believe that their sensibilities make them morally superior. They will make value judgments or judgments based upon Trump's behavior or personality, and they will completely divorce the 92% negative media coverage, the active attempt by media, by publications throughout the country to tear down and torment and disparage and mock and denigrate Trump. That's what media does every single day. That's their goal. Their goal is to simply create a world where Trump is a monster and Bush is a good human being. Think about that. Think about the world that the Democrats want to have created. Bush is a good human being. Think about that for a second. Bush is a good human being. Does that make any sense? He single-handedly destabilized an entire region of the world, of the planet, that they care about so much. George W. Bush was the worst president we've ever had. By far. I didn't say by far, but he was the worst president we've ever had. He was the worst president we've ever had. And it's like when the world that you live in sees George W. Bush as a good person, you have major problems in life. Major problems. Then you have these phonies who say, oh, I opposed Bush. Well, then why did you vote for Clinton and Biden, you phony? Oh, yeah, I opposed Bush. No, you didn't. You voted for Clinton. I didn't vote for Clinton. I voted first for Bernie Sanders, then Jill Stein. I should have voted for Trump. It is a very rational and reasonable viewpoint to vote for anyone but a Democrat that's advised by Bush's neoconservatives. I think it's a moral imperative. And then they've removed God from, like, you don't have to be religious. You don't have to believe in God. You can be an atheist. But if your God and if your religion is politics, and if the high priests of your religion are the pundits on CNN, MSNBC, and the journalists at the Washington Post and New York Times, these people are Democrats. These are lifelong Democrats. These are fanatics and ideologues. At best, they're journalists with a extreme liberal bias. At worst, they're fanatics and ideologues, and completely, like, there a great many people who try to shape American politics are narcissists who believe that their political side is practically a religion. If you don't vote Democrat and you're on the left, you've committed blasphemy and heresy. You're a heretic, and you will promptly get hit pieces written about you. Like, you see what's taking place right now. You see what's taking place with Jimmy Dore and Aaron Mate and the wonderful Young Turks crew. .com, I am no longer. You see what's taking place. They couldn't even, the $20 million venture capitalist people, and one person in particular who's now doing numerous shows, couldn't even, well, they went after, tried to accuse a journalist of being funded or working alongside Russia or, promoting Russian interests. The whole thing was fabricated. That never happened. It never happened. The thing was, it was completely and utterly fabricated. Is the super chat turned off? Let's see. Hold on one second. I don't think so. I think you can... I believe it still works. Ebre, I believe it still works. Yeah, I didn't touch it. I just clicked on it right now. Many experts, and then they live. They're like, many experts agree. Experts believe this. Experts believe that. Like, the experts are wrong, routinely wrong. Routinely, they're wrong. Routinely. Ebre, I appreciate the thought, though. Ebre, thank you. The experts are routinely wrong, but you should listen to them without any pushback. And isn't it interesting? 9 out of 10 dentists agree that Trump is a horrible human being. But you can't find any experts. Isn't that interesting? You can't find experts that like Trump, although 74 million Americans voted for Trump. But see, within the 74 million total, there just happened to be no experts. There are no experts within 74 million people. Huh. Why? Okay, so let's see. So the super chat, I believe, works. I've actually never sent one, so I'm looking at it right now. I think it's working. It's working on my end. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. I want to thank everybody here. Jaded Vegas, thank you. Paul Bartlett, thank you. Thanks everybody. And I know, freedom, I know. But things are, the news has been a bit slow lately. But check out the upload. Redacted, thank you. Redacted, thank you. Check out the upload in about an hour and a half or so. And ladies and gentlemen, Paul, thank you. Jaded Vegas, thank you. I will be back in about an hour and a half on this channel. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel also. Oh, Indy! Bringing it home! Indy Wood! So it works! Indy! Have a fantastic weekend, Indy. Indy Wood, thank you so very much. It works. The super chat works, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thank you so very, very much. Indy, thank you so much. Everybody here. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend, a safe weekend. Indy, thank you. Have a great weekend. Jaded Vegas, Indy, Paul, everyone here. Ebre, everybody here. I will see you in about 2 hours.